So this is making waves on Twitter with a lot of right-wing Americans. Very interesting. Apparently, Russia offers safe haven for people trying to escape Western liberal ideas. And under this document, foreign nationals will have the right to apply for temporary residence in Russia, which goes outside of the quota approved by the Russian government. Like, yeah, believe it or not, like other nations do have a limit on immigration, which is probably Russia is a evil fascist country in the eyes of the Democrats, of course. Moscow will provide assistance to any foreigners who want to escape the neoliberal ideas that are put forward by their countries and move to Russia where traditional values reign supreme. Under the document, such foreign nationals will have the right to apply for temporary residence in Russia. Applications may be based on the rejection of their country policies aimed at imposing destructive neoliberal ideas on people which run counter to the traditional Russian spiritual and moral values. The values are listed in the foundation of Russia's state policy in the field, while Russian government is expected to compile a list of countries imposing unhealthy attitudes on their citizens. The Foreign Ministry has been instructed to start issuing 3-month visas to such applicants as early in September. In February, Putin supported the idea of Italian student Irene Chechny that Russia should ease their rules for those who share traditional cultural and family values. Okay, so again, I find it fascinating that a lot of right-wingers in the United States are in favor of this, while people that are in favor of no borders, unlimited immigration, are hissing at this, right? So it's an interesting thing. But what I want to say is that at the end of the day, people vote with their feet. So if you're an American right-winger and you're supporting this, well, you better take advantage of it, right? Because unless I see the polls, unless I see the statistics with people actually taking advantage of this and moving to Russia and wanting to live in Russia, then I will say that this is another American tradition of virtue signaling, where it matters what you say, it matters what you promote, it matters if you are viewed as a decent moral person supporting the correct ideas but not having to do any actions, right? So as long as you talk about, oh, how much you care about homeless children and how much compassion and empathy you have for those less fortunate than you, but if you don't donate a single cent, if you're not willing to lift a single finger, I genuinely think that you are part of this American tradition of virtue signaling, right? Where if you're viewed in society as having the correct thoughts, then that is good. You know, that is the American aristocracy where being viewed as holding the right opinions is important, but like doing anything about it isn't. Here's my take on it. Like, first of all, there's many other nations on earth that are better places to move into. Like, I understand, you know, you live in a place like California, and you want your kids to learn the ABCs before they learn their LGBTs. Like, you do think that the LGBTs are paramount to human development and to a healthy society, but you'd rather your kid learn how to do 2 plus 2 before learning the more advanced and, compassionate things that the public school system teaches. So you want to move away from that. You want to associate with a more like-minded society, in which case, like, why not choose Poland? Why not choose Hungary? Why not choose Bulgaria? Like why Russia? Again, it's interesting that Russia is right now waging a war against the West, a war of attrition, while also inviting Westerners to join its borders. A little bit of a conflict of interest, wouldn't you say? I mean, I don't know if taking advantage of these visas means that you can get drafted or not. Like that would be an interesting situation, wouldn't it? Right? Like, you're going for a better life in Russia. Granted, though, war heroes are being treated with a lot of respect. If you happen to, become one of them, like you become a war hero, like you may get the respect of the community. There's a lot of misconceptions about Russia. People like to listen to speeches that a lot of its leaders say, but they don't actually live in Eastern Europe. And the reality is that there are two Russias. Like, there is the Russia with Moscow, and Tucker Carlson showed the Moscow metro, and it showed how advantageous the prices at the supermarket are. But there's also the different Russia. There's the multicultural Russia. Like, Russia also has a lot of the values that right-wingers on Twitter don't like, such as multiculturalism. I think actually Russia is a lot more multicultural than the United States. There's more languages in Russia than there are in the US. And this is because the Russia benefited from the Soviet Union. Like, all the stuff that you see Americans doing now that people are horrified, Russia has been doing them in the past, and now they do benefit a lot from multiculturalism. They also have like entire villages and places that do not have access to electricity or sewage. I don't know if that's true in the United States right now. Like if there are places in America where you may not have access to sewage and you have to shit in the PV. Like there's literally, that's what it's called. It's a PV. It's a hole in the ground. It's quite common in Eastern Europe, even in my country. But I think it's a little bit more prominent in Russia. So there's like those aspects. Now, I want to say why right-wingers are looking at this now, and some of them are cheering it. While 10 years ago, everyone would be laughing at it, right? Like no one would take this seriously. Well, when you look at multiculturalist countries like Britain, for instance, like what did Britain do? Well, it decided to have unlimited immigration from other nation states with cultures that aren't exactly compatible. Like we have seen that the Muslims do not like to learn about the LGBTs in school, and there were a lot of protests about that, which, for Britain, it's the way of life. It's like the values, the British values that are there, like cannot exist without the LGBTs in school. So you have like this cultural clash. Now, how does the government fix the cultural clash? Well, it fixes by instating a police state apparatus where complaining about immigration is in a gray area, where if you complain about the immigrants, you can get arrested just by posting something on Facebook, where you have like facial recognition cameras and CCTV and a lot of state policing, which unfortunately to say doesn't exist in Russia, whether it's because they do not have the money to create the same technology that the West has, because this is also true. Like Russia does not have its own Silicon Valley, right? Russia does not have its own suppliers of processors. And there's like a lot of other problems, and they usually rely on China or North Korea for those things. So it's quite possible that the reason people aren't arrested for what they tweet on social media in Russia is because the Russians do not have the apparatus to monitor social media as well as Britain can. But I'm pretty sure, like, if they were to have the ability to do it, they would definitely be interested. I mean, we look at other nations like China, and they do it, right? Because China does have its own version of Silicon Valley, so that's why. But it is concerning. No, nonetheless, it is concerning that more people have been arrested for political opinions in the UK than there have been in Russia. Like, that is true. And there are certain ideologies that cannot be criticized in the UK, but they can be criticized in Russia. But, like, what people need to understand, that this is not like moving from a bad place to a good place. It's trade-offs. Like, if you happen to align with the Russian values, like, take into account that there may be other values that Russia has which you're unaware of, and you may find out that you're not compatible with those. Like, sure, on the issue of LGBT, you may agree with Russia, but there may be other issues, other things that Russia has which you may not agree with. And then you're going to end up with a cultural clash, which is why I'm pretty sure that a lot of people from the United States, they like this. But they're not going to take advantage of it. They're not going to actually move into Russia and live in Russia. Of course, I may be wrong, and again, you can prove to me by voting with your feet. I mean, you can literally just pack up and leave. If you sell your house in the United States and you move to Russia, I think like you're going to have a couple of years where you're very well off, because Tucker Carlson did show the prices in the supermarkets. He didn't show how much people earn, though. Like, that is something that they didn't show. So, like, having a job in Russia, the wage may not be the same like living on American benefits. Maybe a little bit lower. So a little bit of adjusting and adapting will be required. But, when you come over there with a lot of money from the United States, a couple of years, you may actually live like a king until you're going to get a job in the economy and things will stabilize a little bit. Still, I am curious what people think. It is kind of annoying, though, that, this is the option presented. It's like... choose between the evils. Because I personally, if I could choose, I would choose Western countries from 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, before the pandemic, the West was a great place to live. It's still a good place now, but the trajectory isn't one that makes me comfortable. Like, I don't like the fact that the European Union talks about banning Elon Musk's platform. I don't think that's what creates a healthy liberal society. right? So like these are things that upset me. I'm not saying that Russia is a healthy liberal society, and I'm not saying that Russia would also not ban X. But right now, from what I gather, there's no talks on Russia banning any of the social media platforms, right? Meanwhile, the West is talking about banning platforms from Russia. So I don't agree with the Nazis burning books. I didn't agree with the fascists controlling the press. I do think that citizens should have access to information. And what I'm seeing concerns me, right? And it's not about Russia. Like, you can remove Russia from the equation. If Russia didn't exist on planet Earth, my concern is with the countries I'm living in and the fact that things are going towards restricting privacy, restricting human rights, restricting free speech, rather than expanding it. So that's my problem. And I hope that's how a lot of people feel, because at the end of the day, my main concern is keeping politicians accountable. So it's not fair that if politicians make decisions, which is lowering the quality of life of their citizens, to then rely on a police state apparatus in order to crack down on dissent. I don't like that, right? And I'm happy that I'm in Romania and not in Britain when it comes to that. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.